Hi, welcome to Interviews in Isolation. My name is Eckart Preu. I'm the music director of the Cincinnati Chamber Orchestra. And today I am excited to meet again violinist Angelo Xiang Yu, who played a very memorable performance of Mozart's Violin Concerto No. 3 with the Cincinnati Chamber Orchestra in 2017. Angelo, it is so good to see you again after quite a while. I think
Oh
3 years, right?
3 years. Yeah,
Three
yeah.
years. Um,
2017.
and we did Mozart number 3, which was of course wonderful. We all remember you in
Oh yeah.
Cincinnati. Um, where have you been in the past 2 months? And more importantly, how have you survived?
Well, I think it's a difficult situation for all of us as musicians, as managers, as conductors, everybody, in this music world. And, we don't have any concerts. And obviously I give some online concerts so I could still connect to my audience, and play some beautiful music. But, it's such a different feeling when you playing kind of to a camera, in front of a camera, instead of, playing for a real audience. In fact, you asked me where have I been in the past 2 months, obviously, just like you, staying at home, right? Just like everybody else on this planet. So I mean, and I really remember before this all started, I think the shutdown was like March 15th or 14th or something like that. I was um, you know dress rehearsing with San Antonio Symphony on a Friday. I think that was a Friday. So we did a dress rehearsal, and then concert in the evening got canceled. So I had to fly back, and I remember that. And but before that was decided, musicians were asking, if I'm okay to play in front of an empty hall without an audience. And of course, I would love to do that, but it's kind of strange when you kind of play for the air. So yeah, I mean, I've done some online concerts through Violin channel, some live streaming. I've hopefully mastered more cooking skills during the quarantine, and also exercise, build up some muscles, and pretty much that's it. Do something that I've never really got the chance of doing. It was fun on one hand, but I really really missed the stage, to be honest.
Um, so you were born actually in Inner Mongolia, China. So that's kind of, I
Correct.
think, the north of China, like very close to Mongolia. How does a boy from there end up as a violin virtuoso in the US?
Well, it's long story short. I'm glad you brought this up because most people don't even know that place, right? Inner Mongolia. Yes, it
Yeah.
is a place. It exists, and it was very pure. Deserts and endless grassland, lots of horses and sheep. You know, we just drink cow milk directly from the cow.
For real?
Boil it, obviously. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Boil it, and you will see the butter kind of floating above, and that's very healthy, by the way. We don't know a thing about non-fats. I only get to know that term when I come to this country. But my parents discovered my talent because I could kind of repeat a song right after the radio played a song or the TV played a song. I could just repeat the whole thing when I was 3. I couldn't even speak so well. I could kind of just repeat the whole thing. And when I was 4 or 5, they sent me to a music teacher who kind of taught everything: piano, violin, and Mongolian horsehead violins, all those singing. And look at my hands, very big. Okay, let's do piano. Okay. And my parents thought, oh, piano, a big thing, must be very expensive. How about that little case on top of the piano? Yeah, we can afford that. Probably it's smaller, right? What a mistake, Eckart. What a mistake. They had no idea Stradivarius cost millions of dollars back then. But of course, that's how I started. I had good ears. As a 5-year-old, I could identify between 440 and 441, 442 without the piano reference. Perfect pitch, which is not so rare in Asian countries because of our language. And I started playing music for fun, and I didn't start it seriously until I moved to Shanghai when I was 10 or 11, and I got into the Shanghai Conservatory primary school, which is kind of for the prodigy and genius for musicians. And yeah, back from then, I think I started to really see myself as a musician, and I really decided this path. And then, of course, I came to the States to receive more musical education about 11 years ago. Gosh, 12 years ago. Time flies, man. And yeah, and then studied with one of the most prestigious violin professors in the world, Donald Weilerstein, who not only taught me how to play the violin, but also how to become a better person. I'm truly grateful. And yeah, that's kind of my journey. So I'm 31-year-old. My life has been divided into 3 parts. So Inner Mongolia, Shanghai, and the States.
In the States. Every musician has this very close relationship with the instrument. I mean, besides pianists. I mean, as a pianist, you have to just be flexible. This is built in with the profession.
Yeah.
But violinists in particular, you have a very close relationship with an instrument, and you spend a lot of time together, of course, too. But
sleep with it.
you sleep with it almost, right? You protect it with your life.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, in particular, when you have a Stradivarius, so you mentioned it. It's very expensive, and many musicians just don't own it. So it's basically on loan to you. You still are kind of married to that instrument. Do you feel like you have a very special emotional attachment to your violin? And how do you deal with the fact that at some point you might just leave it and have to find something else?
Oh, Eckart, it just happened this year. I'm glad you brought this up, but again, you kind of revealed the pain, reminded me the pain. Earlier this year, I just gave my previous Stradivari back to the owner, and it was the 1729 Solomon Stradivarius. You know that violin because when I played with you, I was playing on that instrument. I've been with that instrument for 8 years. It already kind of become part of me during those years. I feel like I could express everything through the instrument. It's like my vocal cord, but at the same time, my best friend, because if you treat the instrument badly, it's gonna sound like horrible. You have to treat him with care. You have to respect the instruments. You never own the instruments. I mean, the instrument owns you. It takes your soul slowly. And so that has been painful to say goodbye to that instrument. But of course, I also was very lucky, got a loan from the Nippon Foundation in Japan, and I had the pleasure of using the Joachim Stradivarius, which was made in 1715.
It's not bad.
Right now, that's not bad. Yeah, so for the next at least 7 years, so I could perform on that instrument, which has a very different kind of approach in terms of sound and playability, but also the historical value of it. It's just tremendous. Just imagine Mr. Joachim premiered the Brahms violin concerto on the violin, and Bruch violin concerto, Schumann, and played Bach Chaconne when Wieniawski had a heart attack, and played the Wieniawski's Legend at his funeral. It all happened on this violin. So when I'm holding the instrument in my hand, I feel like it's not just a piece of wood, but it's quite a history. You're holding the history in your hand. And the fact that you think about whenever I perform, Vivaldi's Four Seasons, I could feel like, okay, so the year after this violin was built, Vivaldi started to compose the Four Seasons. You can just imagine maybe these two things, they actually saw each other. I think it's quite amazing feeling when you really have a violin like this with you pretty much all the time. So whenever I open the case, I still feel like I live in a dream. Because, most musicians don't even got to touch it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome because it has its own personality, its own life history. It's really alive in many
Exactly.
ways. So what are you working on right now? Like, are you just maintaining? Are you learning new stuff? Are you preparing something that you hope you will do next season?
Of course, first of all, I kind of imagined that the concert wasn't canceled. So all the concerts weren't canceled. So I kind of played through in my living room alone all the things I was supposed to play, Bach suites and all the concertos I prepared. And of course, I finally got the time to study many new repertoire that I always wanted to learn, but never had the time because I was too much on the road and, always the next, what's next, what's next, what's next. So now I have the time to really learn something that I've always wanted to learn, but never had the time. For example, I really, really wanted to learn the UNESCO Sonata No. 3, and I've had the chance to learn that. And there are concertos like Stravinsky and Barber, I always wanted to learn, but now I really get the chance of exploring these repertoire. But yes, as you said, I also review or revisit my old friends, those things that I already performed, but every time I open it, I feel like I haven't really known this piece enough. I wanted to relearn it and explore some new possibilities. And every time, especially for Mozart or Beethoven, when you look at the score, you just feel like, oh, I never noticed this before. What was they thinking? What was I thinking? How come I never really figure out there's a rest here? So a lot of explorations, and I think it's good. I think of course the rest is very important for me. In a way, I really enjoy performing around the world, but at the same time, I feel physically exhausted sometimes. The worst would be, if you have 5 different concertos in 1 month, sometimes you wake up the next morning, it's like, what's today? Is it Prokofiev or Mozart? Not quite sure. Yes, I had that feeling sometimes, which is not very nice. And sometimes in my dreams, I had memory sleep. I feel like, oh, okay. And when I woke up, I was so grateful that was not true. So, all those things I can really digest right now and can kind of relax a little bit and to take care of my body and, just trying to look at the brighter side, of course.
Well, we are, of course, all hoping to be back on stage again very soon. Thank you so much for making time. I hope to
Oh, my pleasure.
perform with you again soon.
Oh, yes, I can't wait. Yeah, thank you, Eckart.
Thanks, Angelo.